good, YouTube? Welcome back to the End-to-End Podcast. Today we're coming out with a brand new episode. It's a kind of like a 1v1 debate, more so to go over like the game. This is episode 10. We're here with Sergio and Robel. Robel is a Liverpool fan. Sergio is an Arsenal fan. We're here to discuss the most recent title clash between Arsenal and Liverpool. We're about to get straight into it. So Liverpool versus Arsenal yesterday ended in a shocking 0-0 result after most neutrals predicting Arsenal would dominate and win comfortably. Liverpool came out in the second half very determined, and you could argue they deserved the win. Away from home versus the title favorites. As a Liverpool fan, Robel, what are your thoughts on the game? What do you think this means for Liverpool going forward?
I think there's like some positives in that game that we can take away, especially in the second half. But I think in the first half, we did defend very well. In that first 15, 20 minute, Arsenal was just coming down our throats. Pause. Hold on, man. Pause. But it was just waves after waves after waves of attack. And we were able to defend it well.
Yeah.
I think that's a positive. I think we've been struggling on defending, and just it's kind of been, just there's moments where we just lack focus, and they score in. With Arsenal, with the momentum they have, they came into this game just firing in the first 20 minutes. And after we survived that 20, we kind of got a bit more comfortable. We rolled it out until the half. In the second half, I think we were the better team.
Okay. Well, before I ask you a follow-up question, I'm just going to ask you the same exact question. So, what do you think this means for Arsenal going forward? What are your thoughts on the games? Were you disappointed as well?
Well, to be honest and to be clear, I didn't really watch, I didn't focus on the match for the full 90. I think I zoned out at points or at 8 and I grabbed my phone. But from what I did see, I think the first 15 to 20 minutes, I think we were dominant. I think we wanted to get the win. I liked the wing play in the midfield. I think they were doing very well. But I think after those 20 minutes, I think we got complacent. And then second half, I think from what I saw, Liverpool was the much more dominant team. I think they had more progressive passes, more touches in the final third, more touches in the opponent's box, and they wanted to get the win. And then I think, to answer your question on what this means for Arsenal, I think the media is a bit too reactionary. Like, if you saw the Szoboszlai interview, which was going around, the interviewer interviewing Szoboszlai was saying that they're going into it playing the team that's going to run away with the title, or the current title favorites. And I think is a bit... We are the title favorites, but I think the way they phrased it is that we're easily going to win the league without any trouble when, the gap is not that big. If we had won this, it would have been 8 points, and I could understand why the interviewer said what he said, but we were only 6 points clear at the time. Exactly. And I don't think that this game, I think, what is there, 17 more matches to go?
Yeah, 17.
We're
17 more matches to go. And it's like the media is setting up Arsenal to fail if we do so. Yes, I think we are the title favorites for the season. And if we fail, it will look very badly. And I think we should be criticized for it after these 4 seasons, when this finishes, for gunning for the title or not going for it. But the way that the interview was going, it was like Arsenal are it was talking like we were 20 points clear when we're not. So I think that the media is a bit too reactionary. This game does not mean that we lost the title already. And I think we have the best defense in the league. I think we have the best midfield in the league. We have Saka, who's arguably the best winger in the league, and we can still win the title.
Robel, what was that reaction about? Was that the Saka being obviously the best winger in the league? Is that what that was?
I said arguably.
My bad.
I think he's up there, but to say that he's just the best he's the best winger in the league, that's...
I didn't, but yeah.
Arguably. He said arguably, he's in the
conversation.
I said
arguably. You guys just heard me. I said arguably the best winger in the league. I said Arsenal the best defense, best midfield, and then Saka arguably the best winger in the league.
Do you have a problem
with that? Sure. Yeah, that's fine. We can go with that. I personally don't think they have the best midfield in the league. I think when Roger comes back into that City midfield, they have the best midfield in the league. I think the way they're structured, the way they pass the ball around there, with Foden picking up form. And
Roger's already back, Anthony?
I saw Roger. Roger been back. Yeah, he was back the last game. As soon as Nico Gonzalez came off, because he was just dreadful that whole game, Roger came in and established himself. I could even tell that this guy has been injured for who knows how long, right? I think he comes back into that lineup and gets match fit. I think they have the best midfield in the league. Saka, winger wise, I mean, I rate him, right? I rate Saka, but I
Where would you have Saka in terms of the Premier League, like top 3, top 5? Like,
yes,
what
yes, definitely. Yes, I think he's top
top
5
5?
wingers. I think Arsenal still this season struggle with finding goals, right? From the front three. I think at this stage of his career, Saka should be kind of take that responsibility of him being a goal scorer if he wants to take his game to like that next level. And that maybe like I may be like maybe biased or unrealistic because I think like every big player, right? When I think of a team, I think of Saka as, oh yeah, he's kind of like the face of Arsenal. You know, when you think of
Yeah.
Saka, that's their star boy, that's their brand. Like he represents what Arsenal is. And in these title races, in these title challenges, you kind of need that top scorer, and that responsibility kind of falls onto your best forward. And Arsenal's best forward is Saka.
Before we go too far into like the Prem currently, before we started, you said that you thought that there was a foul on Verts and that it was supposed to be a pen, right?
Yes.
Can you kind of go into that and explain yourself a little bit more? And I want to see if Sergio disagrees or agrees.
Yeah. All right. From my perspective, right, Trossard he didn't go in there intending to play the ball, and he didn't get any of the ball. He came across him. You saw his foot is in front of Wirtz's foot, and he basically throws. It's not like he barely touched him and just Wirtz decided to just fall on the ground. No, he completely went into him. Didn't have no intention to play the ball. If the ref called that as a pen, VAR does not overrule it. And I can be a bit biased in this situation too, but I think the right call there was for it to be a pen. I think the reason why the ref didn't want to give it as a pen is, I don't know, I feel like refs don't want to determine these type of games based off of like those.
Yeah, like, don't want to be responsible for.
Yeah, like they because it's a 50-50. I understand. I can hear people saying, oh yeah, that's a 50-50. I understand why if the ref gave it, I understand. If the ref didn't, I understood that. But I think that's a clear foul. I think anywhere else on the pitch, if that foul occurs, the ref gives it as a foul instead of the. But because it's in the penalty box, he's not giving that. He doesn't want to determine the game just based off of that call.
What do you think, Sergio? Do you were you watching? Did you see the particular moment he's talking about specifically?
I'm trying to think. I might be getting it confused with a different moment, but I think I know what he's talking about. And the one that he's talking about, I kind of agree with him. I think kind of went like, could have been 50-50. I think for me, the angle I saw it at, or the clip I saw it at after the game, I think it was a bit too soft to be like a penalty, but I wouldn't have been like completely outraged if it had been given.
That's how I feel about the Gabriel Jesus Konate thing at the end. I don't know if you see what I'm talking about. When Konate was pulling onto Gabriel Jesus' shirt. My bad, I'm eating ice.
Oh, no, I saw that. I remember. Was it like I remember it was almost like a 2v1 situation, I think, on the left-hand side of the pitch where the camera was, and Konate just kept grabbing onto Jesus' shirt, and I think Jesus wasn't even on the ball, and I was screaming at my TV like, what are you doing, bro? Let him go. Like, I was so confused.
Grabbing onto him as well to kind of like get his balance back, and then they gave
a
foul for Liverpool.
So I was screaming at my TV for that, bro.
It could go both ways. I think the refs did a pretty good job. Like, I've watched a lot of Premier games where it's like the officiating is awful. I can't say that this was one of those games. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
have to agree. Yeah.
So okay, Robel, I'm gonna ask Sergio first. Sergio, do you think Liverpool gets top 4?
Yeah, sure. Because I don't think Chelsea's good enough. Yeah. And it's not a ridiculous thing because they've actually picked up form. I think Verts is coming into form after a lot of people were just violating this guy online, like 0010, 007, but now he's actually being that creative number 10 role that they thought that they were getting. And it took him a while to adapt, but I think he's slowly adapting. He's getting goal contributions as well. I think the performance from the last game, I think Konate and Van Dijk were like wolves. They wanted to show the Arsenal centre-backs levels, and they wanted to show them how to play. So, yeah.
Okay. What about you, Robel? Obviously, I'm assuming you're gonna back Liverpool.
Yeah. I think he nailed it right on, right? And the reason why I feel like we're gonna get top 4 is because the teams that are below us just aren't that good. 2 of the teams sacked their managers. One of them is just a new manager that came into the Prem, and the other one is an interim manager. So I feel like there's not that pressure, on us to consistently week in and week out because the team below us are not that good. I think Aston Villa right now, they're kind of overperforming their games. I think you'll see them kind of slowly drop off. But yeah, I think top four is very likely.
Liverpool is one of those teams that are kind of having like I don't want to say like a big issue, but like kind of like internal, like a little bit of like a back and forth between like Salah and like the management and stuff. Like, you don't think that's gonna potentially interfere or get in the way of like getting top 3, top 4, or making a push for the league?
I think that whole Salah and Salah situation, I think it's out the window right now, right? I think that's been resolved. In my perspective, right, I don't think Salah is the manager for us. I am Salah out, right? Because from what I've seen, we have not played good football in months. We're talking about since last season, we have not played good football. I think Liverpool will stick to Slot until the end of the season because the manager market is not that great. I think they'll wait until the summer where more managers are available and see what best fits for our club. I think Slot right now, he's kind of struggling on to see who fits with who. I think he hasn't been able to get that team to gel together to make that run. But right now we're on a bit of a undefeated streak. I think that's a little bit, it's a little bit shaky. It's not convincing that we're winning games convincingly, but it's good enough for us to get top 4. So I think it's fine to keep him for now because the manager market is just not that great. Like, unless you can go get Klopp out of retirement or go ahead and get Gerrard, but it's like, are you going to take your chance on Gerrard and hope that he's able to work something out? And if that doesn't work out, you're restarting all over again. Or
most players that were like, most coaches that used to be players, a lot of the time, I'm talking about like really good players, like they're not really good coaches 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, that's the thing right now. I understand why they will stick with Slot until to see if he can get that top 4. Like, I think that's the realistic option for Liverpool right now in the league.
So a lot of Liverpool fans are like pro Slot and would consider you to be like ungrateful because like he just got you guys a title. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I do disagree with that statement a little bit. I think a lot of Liverpool fans see that Slot is not working out, right? I think majority of them understand that Slot has to go, right? I don't think at a big club, this many teams should not be coming to Anfield and picking up points. Nottingham Forest should not be coming to Anfield and beating us 3-0. Crystal Palace should not be coming to Anfield and dominating us. Newly promoted team Leeds should not be coming to Anfield and they're matching our style of play. They're matching our level of performances, right? Your home stadium is supposed to be your fortress, and that has not been the case this season. I understand that Slot has given us a title last season, but also we're a big club, right? We're Liverpool Football Club at the end of the day. There's standards. We cannot just look at last season and be like, oh, well, he's good last season, so okay, that's fine about of him underperforming this season. Liverpool has to be at the top, competing for the trophy season after season after season, especially after spending 500 million, getting players like Isak, Ekitike. You have to be able to perform, and Wirtz is also there. You have to be able to gel the team together and be able to perform. And if a manager shows that he is not capable of spending 500 million, getting all these world-class players at the end of the day, and not being able to get them to work together and compete with Arsenal and Man City, and also compete in the Champions League, and also compete in every single cup competition, then he's shown that he is not the right man for the job, and he's not the right man to take you to the next level. But I understand that you give him that credit and say, okay, let's let him finish the season and see where he can take us. But I think as soon as he gets knocked out in that Champions League, he gets knocked out in the FA Cup, and he's struggling to get top 4, you get him out.
Yeah, you can only give grace for so long. Like, I understand what you're saying. Sergio, I assuming you kind of agree, right? Or is there anything like is there any take you have from that, or do you disagree or anything like that?
I kind of agree with the point that Slot's not the manager for Liverpool going forward, and I kind of agree with the point which just because he won the Premier League title for Liverpool last season and in a dominant manner, but there's like multiple points which you could like if you're analyzing how he's playing this season, analyzing the way he played last season, you can make the critiques like he won the league with Klopp's team last season, even though myself as an Arsenal fan, I've heard people say that take, and I've like jumped in and been like, oh, but Klopp didn't get the best out of Szoboszlai and he didn't get the best out of Gravenberch. And I could be like, that's a plus for Arne, in which those are things which he did. I think there were players in the Klopp system that got improved the season which they won the league under Slot. But at the same time, I think that Liverpool, like you said, is a big club. I think Arsenal-wise, like we have lower standards than Liverpool, but Liverpool have 6 European Cups and 20 league titles. So like if Arne had come to Arsenal, won the league, obviously we'd kept him, even if he hasn't had the second season as good as the first season. But for Liverpool Football Club, which is a big European club, like you said, there are bigger standards than the likes of standards Arsenal fans and Arsenal club has. So it's understandable if they want to sack him.
All right, so to conclude, first of all, thank you guys. But to conclude, Sergio, are we winning the league, bro?
Yes, bro. Yes, we are winning the league. Yes.
Robel, I know this might be hard for you to admit, but what do you think?
I think you are the favorites to win the league, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's still a lot of problems that Arsenal have, and I think the main issue again comes down to your strikers not performing, right? This season, there's not a single player from Arsenal in the top 30. I think that there's one. There's one player in the top 30 top scorers. And I feel like, again, Sergio earlier in the video, right, he said they're only 5 points clear. And I get it, set pieces. Arsenal are a wonderful team at that, right? They're able to find goals. But I don't think we've entered that stage of the season where it's kind of rough and you're playing 3 games in a week. There's Champions League knockouts. There's pressure week in and week out. And I feel like this past week, right, Arsenal kind of slipped up on not taking a full advantage on being 8-point clear and giving themselves that comfort. And I think I don't blame Gyokeres necessarily on him kind of being a slow start. I just don't think Arsenal play to his strengths. I don't think they send him through balls. They're kind of a team who go down the side and they let Saka find their man inside the box. Gyokeres, his movement inside the box is not great. You know, he doesn't find those pockets of space. Like you see Haaland, right? Haaland is able to find that pocket of space between defenders. He knows where to be. He knows where the ball is going to be at. I don't think Gyokeres kind of has that nature to his game, and that's why he's struggling a bit. I think when Kai Havertz come into more, I think Kai Havertz does a better job as striker for Arsenal, right? I think they bought the wrong profile of striker. If I'm being honest, I think Ekitike would have been great for Arsenal. He plays to their strength. He's a guy who likes the ball at his feet. He's a guy who's able to connect passes, play 1-2s. But Gyokeres is not that type of player, so he doesn't suit Arsenal's play style. But I think what I see with Arsenal's is when it goes into that February where knockouts in the Champions League comes, where it's 3 games a week and it's rough away games, are they gonna find goals, right? Who's gonna be the guy that they look into? And with Man City strengthening up on their attack, with Haaland being on the form that he's in, I think Arsenal are the favorites. I could see them going on to win the league, right? But I see that as a very, very big problem that could catch up to them.
I don't necessarily disagree. To be fair to Gyokeres, we're way better with him in the starting 11 than without. Like, I think there's like a stat that I saw that there was like, with Gyokeres, we won 17 and drew 1 and lost 1. But without him, we lost 3 and won 1 and drew 1, something like that. But again, I was never big on Gyokeres because I feel like you have to play for him.
Yeah.
In a sense where like I preferred, obviously, Isak was the number 1 choice. Like me and my brother think that if Isak was on Arsenal, he'd be the best player in the world currently. But I preferred even Sesko personally. Like I think Sesko would have potentially done a better job. As to what you're saying, Robert, I think Sesko is better in the box. I think Sesko is better at moving and finding space in the box. And he's really good at heading and great at set pieces. So I think it would have fit the system better. What do you think, Sergio?
I agree with your statement. I think there's other strikers that would fit the system as better than just like a pure number nine, as I think Arteta wanted. Because I think a lot of that is what the other rival fans and I think other people and pundits were saying to Arteta, that Arsenal haven't been able to finalize and get their dream of winning the title because they don't have that goal scorer. And then Arteta was like, finally, we're going to get the goal scorer. But now that he's here, he hasn't adapted as quickly or as sufficiently as everyone thought that he was going to, or I guess Arsenal fans thought that he was going to. But I think, like, I think he will find the goals. I remember, like, with a lot of backlash we got for when we got Kai Havertz, but then when it came to the big towel matches, Kai Havertz, unbeknownst to people, was actually the one scoring braces and late goals in the final minutes of the game. And I think with a profile of a pure number nine with Gyokeres, and like you said, with even with up top when he's not getting like a lot of the ball, he's creating a target man and he's allowing the wingers on each of his side. Trossard is having, I think, probably the best season of his Arsenal career so far. And if we go on to win the Premier League, he'll be a big part of that because of his output. And Saka's playing a more creative role. So I think like I wanted to push the striker thing aside, but I think I wanted to do more of a rebuttal to what the Liverpool fans said. And it's more like I think that in the final stages of these games, I think Arsenal and I think Saka and Arsenal players are going to score more goals. I think the front three is going to gel a lot more when it comes to the final games of the season. And I think like players coming back, like Kai Havertz, and we play him in some games and we start him instead of Gyokeres, Saka is going to get a lot more output than he has so far. So I think, as well as the fact that Arsenal as a team this season is scoring less individually wise, like not Liverpool last season when they were solely reliant on Salah as like their main number nine and the man who's going to get all the goals and be the most clinical. This season, the goals are more shared, and it's actually like it's been working. And I think in the final games, and when we get more of our players back, then that's when the goals are going to come, and I think that's when we're going to win the title. So yeah,
I think you hit it on the nail. But I hear this about Kai Havertz from Rubel, this about Kai Havertz from Sergio. Man, we got Gabby back, bro. We got Gabriel Jesus back, bro.
yeah.
I've always preferred, like, to me, start him, bench Gyokeres right now. I don't care. Like, I've always been a big Gabby fan. But
I
Rubel,
think
you had a question. Go ahead.
no, I think you're right on. I think Gabriel Jesus should start, right? I think he's better for the Prem. I think in the Prem, right?
Yeah.
It's very tight. You don't get spaces in behind. You need to be good on your feet. And we see in these kind of big games, right? Sergio kind of talked about big games with Gyokeres. He's not getting as many touches. And Gyokeres, when I think of Gyokeres, I think of like a player like Haaland, right? Haaland does not get that many touches, right? But when he gets the touches, it's in dangerous positions where he can hurt their opponent the most. And he's essentially getting his goals and assists, even though there's not much space for him to run into. Because of his movements, because of his spatial awareness, he's able to get his goals. He's able to get his assists. But that's not the same for Gyokeres. I think Man City, their whole attack is built to make Haaland look good and to get Haaland the ball, to get Haaland in those positions where he can score goals. That's not the same for Sergio. So I don't necessarily think the goals will fall for Gyokeres in these kind of big games unless Arsenal change up their play style, which I don't think they will because they're playing well. I think Arsenal are playing well as a team together. I think if they bring in Jesus and if he's able to stay fit, and he's a better shot creator. He's able to create shots for himself. He's a lot more techy. He's able to connect passes more. If you need him to kind of drift wide and pick up the ball, he's able to do that. I think there's a lot more to Jesus' game than there's Gyokeres' game that fits the Premier League. I think that Kai Havertz too, right? He's able to go ahead and pick up the ball deeper. He's able to drift wide, and that's why he's able to get kind of his goals. I think his movements in and around the box, they're good enough. And I think that's why we saw Mikel Mourinho, right? When he's playing striker, his movement inside the box it's good. His his headers, they're solid. His positioning, they're solid. That's why he was able to find the goals. And I think Eze should also be given the chance a bit more, right? I don't know why he's there and just sitting on the bench. I don't know why he's barely getting minutes in games versus Liverpool.
0
right?
minutes in the last 4 games. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's a very creative player. I think he's a player who's able to he's not scared to play that risky pass. I feel like players like Odegaard, I think Odegaard sometimes he fears making that mistake and making that risky
Yeah.
pass. That's not the same for Eze. I don't know if y'all remember earlier this season versus Man City, right? It was him who played that ball over the top to Martinelli because he has that quality. He believes in himself, right? He's a very confident player, and
Like
he's a very great player.
Or no?
And I think he should be given the chance more. I think he may work with Gyokeres a bit more, and he's able to maybe find him those through balls. I just think that sometimes Odegaard and that midfield kind of plays a bit more reserved and keeping the ball and waiting for that
I agree, but
great chance.
I don't think that's on the players as much. I think it's a coach thing. Like I think
For sure.
we're not playing that system, but I think I think Gyokeres this year he'd be lucky to get 5 goals, bro, 5 more goals. But I think next year, going into next year, like if they work, Arteta does his magic during the offseason, I think he will be getting more touches. I think we will be playing and catering to his style a little bit more because that's all we really need to do. All he needs is 2 or 3 through balls a game. And, bro, we have Odegaard, we have Eze, like you were saying, we have Declan Rice, we have Zubimendi, we have players that are so good at doing that. But I wanted to ask right before we move on and end everything. Appreciate you guys again. Do y'all think Nwaneri should be getting more game time as well or no?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think there's games. I think he's obviously his role in the squad should be rotation because at 18, he obviously shouldn't be starting every week in the Premiership where he could be risk to injuries, and that'll be very bad for his development. But I think there's been games where like Arsenal are lacking creativity, and I think when Odegaard was out, I think behind Eze it should have been Nwaneri at the 10 or even Nwaneri playing on the right instead of starting Saka and letting him play majority of the match when he's our best forward when he's on it, and he's arguably our most important player. I don't think this season, but just overall our most important player. I think there's times where like this season you've seen when Madueke starts, he offers a different style to Saka. He's not a better overall player or winger to Saka, but there's some games where you're playing a different side and you need to attack them or win the game differently. And I think Nwaneri offers different things to Saka, and he's, I think, more potential technically wise, and he can play the 10 and he can play right wing, and he offers like a lot of space creation in the box, which I think Gyokeres could like succeed from.
Benefit from, yeah, I agree.
I don't necessarily agree, right? But that just comes down to how I see Arsenal. I think Arsenal have that squad depth now that this season, and I just don't see where he fits in their plans. I get that he's a good player, but right now Arsenal, they're in a title race, right? I think games that he needs to play, it's probably in the Carabao Cups and kind of early rounds in the FA Cups. But I don't know if he gets that many minutes in the Premier League. I think Arsenal just are at a great stage where their midfield looks solid, their defense looks solid, and their defense they're able to keep clean sheets and all that because of how good their midfield and their defense work together. I think you see
you don't want to ruin
what one of the reasons why I think that Eze is not playing as much is because defensively he's not as good as Odegaard. He's not as focused as Odegaard is, and that's why Arteta is not playing him as much as he should be. And if you bring someone like Nwaneri on, I think defensively they kind of open up a lot more. They give up a lot more chances. And even if you put him at that right wing, Saka is, again, he helps the defense a lot, right? Yeah. Tracking back, defending wise, he helps a lot. He started as a left back, so he knows that position. He understands that position. And Madueke going forward, he offers a lot more, right? He's a lot more techie. He's a lot more his speed. It just offers a lot complete different game for Arsenal. So I don't know how he gets in front of these two players, and in the midfield where you have Odegaard and Eze, I don't see where he gets in front of that too. And I just think that it kind of disturbs that connection that they have in their team. I think he should be loaned out. I think in games, or if he plays, it just has to be in games where it's just versus just low-level teams. That's
either like very important games or games that you're already dominating.
Yeah, I just think I think right now though Arsenal is just at a very important part of the season where it should be top players playing week in and week out, and they're in a title race. Like they're the favorites to win this title, and this title is I think they have one hand on their title, and I just don't think this is a time where you trust an 18-year-old to get in and seal it for you. I think it's your main players who've been there. These players, Declan Rice, again, world-class player. I think this season you can confidently say that this guy is the best midfielder in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think these players, Odegaard has stepped it up recently. Zubermendi, he's looked great.
Yeah.
And I think you just have to find a way you get Eze included in that, and you kind of up his defensive responsibilities, and you kind of make that push. I don't think it's time to risk it with an 18-year-old. I think you have to go on that title run, and you can't. With Man City chasing you, you have to stick with what's working right now, and what's working right now is that 3 in that midfield, and with Eze coming in, and I think Arsenal have to keep that. And have to keep their defensive record, have to continue getting clean sheets if they want to have that title. And I think, again, I said it again, I think they're the favorites. I don't think they should change anything. And I think they look good. I mean, they have a chance to, one title, and their first title in 20 years. I think they need to go for it. This is their season right here.
I agree. Before I finish it off, Sergio, you have anything you want to add or anything like that?
Just wanted to have like a little rebuttal to that. I agreed with the points that he was bringing up, that like Arsenal have a good basis, and the fact that they're the favorites and arguably the best in like parts of the team. Like I said in the beginning of this, I said I think Arsenal have the best backline in Europe and definitely in the league. I think they have the best midfield in the league, and considering like 6 points clear, could have been 8 points clear, getting clean sheets, getting set piece goals, just having a good team overall, and having players push each other. You feel like, I agree with what Robel said, like it's a good basis. You just want to keep going with it. But I think there's another thing in why we brought on players like Eze, and I think why we should use players like Wanyeri is that I think even City benefited off this. They had the bench, which is what we have now. Last season, where we were competing for the title, we would get injured and we would run out of gas before the couple of games in which we would lose the title to the team we were competing against. But now that we have the rotation, we have the bench, we also need the players on the bench to be moments players who can step up when stuff is going wrong, like in a draw and you're losing points, but then you can take someone off the bench who can score in those final minutes or offer something. I think that's why we brought in Eze, and I think that's why you could utilize a player like Wanyeri, because Wanyeri, like last season, he was stepping up in games which Arsenal were looking to lose. And again, this is a tower race. He's 18 years old and he doesn't have the experience, but in games where we don't need our senior players to be starting, we can rest them, because like you said, the games, like if we're having one game every 3 days and we have a Champions League and we want to prioritize winning multiple cups like a Carabao Cup and the FA Cup or the Champions League, obviously, then Wanyeri can benefit off that starting in a Premier League ship match and like performing in that to get us more points in the title race, to get us another hand on the title, to give us 2 hands on the title. So yeah.
No, yeah, I think both of you guys made very great points. I think this is the first time I've agreed with 95% of everything that was said in this video. But bro, I appreciate y'all for coming out. I know we said that it was only supposed to be a 20-30 minute video. We're at like an hour in the recording. I think Robel's just had to go right quick, but I was gonna say, Sergio, if you want to plug anything in, obviously we're gonna add both of you guys' pages, whatever you guys want in the bio. But if you wanted to plug anything right now.
No, I really got nothing to plug. All I gotta say is that Arsenal's gonna win the league, and when that happens, we will be celebrating in here. We'll be making videos about it. We'll be having like, what does this mean? What is this player? Is Saka top 5? Obviously, no, he's not. But like we're gonna see like, oh, is Declan Rice in this convo, Saka in this convo? Just like be ready for the videos when Arsenal win the league. So yeah.